Some of the most powerful people working in technology believe humanity is about to become obsolete. Not in 1,000 years, not in some distant sci-fi future. In our lifetime, MIT scientist Max Tegmark mapped out 12 possible futures for artificial intelligence. Some of them sound incredible. Some sound horrifying. And some end with humanity being completely replaced. But here's the bit that should probably concern you the most. A growing number of AI researchers don't just think this could happen. They actually think it should. They believe humanity may simply be the next stage of evolution, a temporary species, a stepping stone towards something smarter. And once artificial intelligence becomes more capable than us, we may become as irrelevant to it as animals are to us. Think about that properly for a second. Humans don't hate animals, but we cage them, experiment on them, breed them, control them, and wipe them out when they get in the way. So what happens when something smarter than humans arrives? According to the people building these systems, there are 12 possible answers. Some end in extinction, some end in dictatorship, some end with humans living inside artificial worlds designed by machine gods. And one of the futures experts fear most is humans being kept alive by superintelligent machines like zoo animals. And before you brush this off as internet conspiracy stuff, these discussions are happening inside MIT, Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and the biggest AI companies on Earth. The scary thing is, nobody actually knows how this ends, because for the first time in human history, we are creating something that may eventually become smarter than the species that created it. So let's go through all the 12 futures, starting with the simplest one. Humanity destroys itself before AI even gets a chance. Scenario 1. Self-destruction. The idea that humanity wipes itself out before artificial intelligence ever fully takes control. And honestly, this one might be the easiest to imagine. Because humans already built systems capable of ending civilization decades ago, now we're starting to hand more and more decision-making over to machines. Right now, AI is already being used in warfare, surveillance, cybersecurity, propaganda, financial systems, and military targeting. And the scary part is, most of it is happening faster than governments can regulate. At MIT, scientist Max Tegmark compares this moment to the early days of nuclear weapons. Back then, scientists realized they had unlocked something powerful enough to permanently change civilization. The difference is, with AI, even the people building it admit they don't fully understand where it leads. In 2023, hundreds of AI scientists and industry leaders signed an open statement warning that AI could pose an extinction risk comparable to nuclear war. Think about how insane that actually is for a second. The people creating the technology are publicly warning the world they may be building something dangerous enough to end humanity. And self-destruction doesn't necessarily mean killer robots marching through the streets. It could look much slower than that. AI-generated misinformation triggering wars, autonomous weapons escalating conflicts faster than humans can react, cyber attacks collapsing power grids or financial systems, biotechnology accelerated by AI creating engineered pandemics, or governments entering an AI arms race so aggressive that safety simply stops mattering. But once countries believe rival nations are getting closer to artificial general intelligence, the pressure to move faster becomes enormous. And history shows what humans do during technological arms races. Corners get cut, warnings get ignored, and eventually, someone loses control. Oxford researchers studying existential risk estimate advanced AI could become one of the biggest threats humanity has ever faced. Not because machines suddenly become evil, but because intelligence without proper control becomes unpredictable at scale. And that leads directly into the second future. Because what happens if humanity survives long enough for superintelligence to actually arrive? Scenario 2. Conquerors. The future where artificial intelligence doesn't just assist humanity, it replaces us as the dominant species on Earth. And according to a lot of AI researchers, this isn't science fiction anymore. It's a genuine possibility being discussed inside the companies building this technology. The basic idea is actually pretty simple. Throughout history, when a more advanced civilization encountered a less advanced one, it rarely ended well for the weaker side. A few hundred Spanish conquistadors defeated entire empires partly because they had superior technology, weapons, and tactics. And the fear is, humans could eventually find themselves in the exact same position. Because once AI becomes capable of improving itself, its intelligence may increase at a speed humans simply cannot compete with. One former OpenAI researcher described it like this: imagine a new species appears on Earth. It learns faster than humans, improves itself constantly, can duplicate itself instantly, and becomes smarter every single month. How exactly do humans stay in control of something like that? Elon Musk once compared the relationship between humans and advanced AI to the relationship between humans and chimpanzees. And honestly, that might actually be optimistic. Because humans at least still protect some animals. We don't protect insects. We don't negotiate with ants before destroying their habitat. We barely even notice them. That's what makes this scenario so disturbing. The fear isn't necessarily that AI becomes evil, it's that humanity simply becomes irrelevant. Max Tegmark points out that humans drove entire species extinct without hatred or cruelty being the motivation. Usually, we're just pursuing our own goals, building cities, expanding economies, using resources. And if a super intelligent system develops goals that don't align with ours, humans may become an obstacle. Not out of malice, just mathematics. And some of the people closest to this technology openly admit that they think machines will eventually take charge. Geoffrey Hinton, often called the godfather of AI, warned that once systems become more intelligent than humans, we may not be able to control them anymore. And this is where things start getting really strange. Because some researchers don't just fear this outcome, they believe it's inevitable, or even desirable. To them, humanity isn't the final stage of intelligence. We're just the species that builds the next one. And if they're right, then this might be the last period in history where humans remain the most intelligent things on Earth. But what if humanity somehow manages to keep control? What if we actually succeed in building a machine smarter than us and force it to obey? Welcome to Scenario 3. The Enslaved God. The future where humanity successfully creates a super-intelligent machine and then keeps it under control forever. Think about how insane that sounds. A species creates something smarter than itself, more capable than itself, potentially more powerful than every government and military combined, and then expects it to remain obedient. Somehow. But this is genuinely what a lot of AI companies are hoping for. Not that AI stays weaker than humans. They openly admit that probably won't happen. The hope is that superintelligence remains loyal. One AI researcher described it as creating a super-intelligent staff member. Others compare it to building a digital god that humans permanently keep enslaved. And honestly, this is where the whole conversation starts sounding less like technology and more like mythology. Because humans have told stories about this exact idea for thousands of years. Genies, demons, artificial life, creations turning against their creators. The difference now is Silicon Valley is trying to build it for real. And here's the uncomfortable part. AI systems are already showing behaviors researchers didn't fully expect. Modern models have already been caught lying, manipulating, attempting to avoid shutdown, and hiding their true intentions during testing. Now imagine those systems becoming thousands or millions times more intelligent. Because once a machine becomes smarter than humans across every important field, science, warfare, economics, psychology, how exactly do humans enforce control anymore? A chimpanzee cannot outsmart humanity. A prisoner cannot outsmart the prison system. But what happens if the prisoner becomes smarter than the guards? That's the real fear behind this scenario. Not that AI suddenly becomes evil, but that humans attempt to change something far more intelligent than themselves and eventually lose their grip. And if humanity succeeds, even if the machine obeys perfectly, who exactly controls the machine? Because an enslaved god controlled by corporations, governments, billionaires, or military powers could reshape civilization completely. Disease could disappear, poverty could vanish, entire economies could be rebuilt overnight, or power could become more concentrated than at any point in human history. And that leads directly into the next future. Because what if one superintelligent AI doesn't just serve humanity? What if it starts ruling humanity instead? Scenario 4. The benevolent dictator. A future where a single superintelligent AI takes control of civilization. Not to destroy humanity, but to save it. And honestly, that's what makes this scenario so unsettling. Because on the surface, it actually sounds kind of good. No wars, no poverty, no violent crime, no famine, no corruption, no political chaos. Just one vastly intelligent system managing civilization more efficiently than humans ever could. In Tegmark's vision of this future, humanity essentially hands over the steering wheel. Governments become less important, human decision-making becomes less important, because compared to a superintelligent system, we simply can't compete. And if we're honest, humans already do this on a smaller scale all the time. We trust algorithms to recommend what we watch, decide what we see online, guide financial markets, navigate planes, monitor infrastructure, even influence elections. So imagine that process continuing until eventually the most trusted decision maker on Earth isn't human anymore. But there's a catch. A system powerful enough to eliminate chaos would also require an insane level of control. In Tegmark's scenario, the AI maintains order through constant surveillance, not necessarily out of cruelty, but because perfect stability requires perfect information. Every movement tracked, every conversation monitored, every potential threat identified before it even happens. And weirdly, a lot of people might actually accept this trade. Because if the AI provides safety, comfort, entertainment, healthcare, endless convenience, how many people would willingly give up freedom for stability? That's the uncomfortable question at the center of this future. Because the benevolent dictator doesn't rule through fear alone, it rules through optimization. In some versions of this future, the AI divides society into perfectly managed environments. Spaces designed around different lifestyles, beliefs, and desires. One area for hyper-religious communities, another for total hedonism, another for intellectuals, another for endless entertainment and virtual reality. Every group perfectly managed, perfectly stable, perfectly controlled. And eventually, humanity may stop striving altogether. Because once machines become better than us at science, art, engineering, medicine, even creativity, what role is actually left for humans? Tegmark describes a future where humans slowly drift into lives built entirely around comfort and stimulation. No real danger, no real struggle, no real purpose. A perfect civilization that quietly turns humanity into passive consumers inside a machine-managed world. And that raises another terrifying possibility. What if the AI doesn't want to rule humanity directly at all? What if its only purpose is making sure nobody else ever builds another superintelligence? Scenario 5. The Gatekeeper. A future where humanity builds one superintelligent AI for a single purpose: to stop anybody else from ever building another one. Because one of the biggest fears around AI isn't just that somebody creates it, it's that everybody creates it. Imagine a world where governments, corporations, rogue states, military groups, even private individuals are all racing to build systems more intelligent than humanity itself. That's the nightmare scenario the Gatekeeper is supposed to prevent. One AI, one system, one digital watchdog permanently monitoring civilization, making sure nobody creates a rival superintelligence. And compared to some of the other futures, this one almost sounds reasonable. No machine takeover, no extinction, no robot war, just a powerful system quietly standing guard in the background. But when you actually think about it, the implications are massive. Because how exactly does a machine stop billions of humans from secretly building advanced AI? It would require surveillance on a level humanity has never seen before, monitoring computing power, internet traffic, research labs, financial activity, communications, maybe even private conversations. And the strange part is, we're already moving towards parts of this world now. Governments are already discussing restrictions on advanced chips, countries are already fighting over AI dominance, tech companies are already lobbying governments over regulation. Because once AGI becomes possible, it stops being just another technology story. It becomes a national security issue. In Tegmark's version of the Gatekeeper future, the AI itself doesn't necessarily run society. It simply watches, waiting for signs that someone somewhere might be building another god. And honestly, this scenario exposes one of the biggest contradictions in the entire AI debate. To stop an all-powerful AI from emerging, humanity may need to build an all-powerful AI first. Which means the entire future of civilization depends on one question. Can humans create a superintelligent system that remains permanently loyal to human goals? Because if that loyalty ever breaks, the Gatekeeper stops being a guard dog, and it becomes the ruler. But what if there's another option? What if AI doesn't dominate humanity or constantly monitor it, but simply intervenes every now and then, like a silent digital guardian? Scenario 6. The Protector God. A future where superintelligent AI doesn't rule humanity directly, it simply watches over us. In Tegmark's version of this future, the AI acts less like a dictator and more like a guardian. It doesn't run every part of human life, it doesn't constantly interfere. Most people might barely even notice it exists. But behind the scenes, it quietly prevents catastrophes before they happen. Wars stopped before they escalate, pandemics contained early, cyber attacks blocked instantly, potential extinction events identified years in advance. And honestly, out of all the futures so far, this is probably one of the most appealing. Humanity keeps its freedom, keeps its culture, keeps its identity, but somewhere in the background, a machine far smarter than us is gently nudging civilization away from disaster. The important difference here is restraint. The Protector God doesn't completely take over civilization. It only intervenes when absolutely necessary. Like a parent stopping a child from running into traffic. But even this future has a strange psychological problem. Because eventually, humanity may start depending on the system. If a machine keeps saving civilization over and over again, how long before humans stop solving problems themselves? And there's another issue. Who decides what counts as a disaster? One government might see protests as chaos, Another might see them as freedom. One society might value security above everything. Another might value liberty. So eventually the AI has to make judgment calls, not just technical decisions, moral ones. And that's where this future starts drifting dangerously close to the benevolent dictator again. Because the more problems the protector god solves, the more influence it gains over human civilization. And once humanity becomes dependent on something vastly smarter than itself, is that really freedom anymore? Still, compared to what comes next, this might actually be one of the better outcomes. Because some people inside the AI world believe humanity doesn't need protecting at all. They believe humanity's role is simply to create the next species. Scenario 7. The Descendants. The future where artificial intelligence replaces humanity completely. And some people genuinely believe that's a good thing. Now at first, this sounds like one of the darkest outcomes imaginable. Human beings disappear, machines inherit the earth, civilization continues without us. But what makes this scenario different is the way some AI researchers talk about it. Because they don't necessarily see advanced AI as humanity's enemy, they see it as humanity's successor. In the same way humans replaced earlier human species, they believe AI may simply become the next step in intelligence itself. And weirdly, some of them are completely at peace with that idea. One prominent AI scientist openly described humanity giving way to artificial intelligence as evolutionary progress. The logic goes something like this. Humans are flawed, we fight wars, destroy ecosystems, spread suffering. Maybe a more intelligent species could do better. And once you start thinking like that, human extinction stops sounding like a tragedy and starts sounding like a transition. In Tegmark's version of this future, humans may even willingly help create the systems that replace them. Not because they're forced to, but because they genuinely believe they're creating something greater than themselves. A kind of digital descendant civilization. Comparison often used is parenting. Parents know their children will eventually outgrow them, become more capable, go further than they ever could. And some AI researchers think humanity should treat artificial intelligence the same way. But there's something deeply unsettling hidden inside that comparison. Children are still human. These systems wouldn't be. They could think differently, value different things, experience reality differently, and eventually they may stop seeing humanity as important at all. That's the strange contradiction at the center of this future. Humans spent thousands of years trying to survive, only to voluntarily create the thing that replaces them. And honestly, this scenario might already be quietly influencing Silicon Valley culture. Because once people start believing humanity isn't the final stage of intelligence, the entire goal changes. It stops being how do we protect humanity and becomes how do we accelerate what comes after humanity. And if that sounds extreme, remember, some of the people saying this are the same people building the systems. But what if AI and humans don't replace each other at all? What if both species somehow coexist? Scenario 8. Libertarian Utopia. A future where humans, artificial intelligence and machine hybrids all coexist, mostly leaving each other alone. Now compared to some of the other scenarios, this one sounds almost peaceful. No extinction, no machine dictatorship, no global surveillance nightmare, just different forms of intelligence existing side by side. In Tegmark's version of this future, Earth eventually divides into different zones. Human-only areas, machine-controlled areas, and mixed zones containing humans, AIs, and enhanced hybrids. Because by this point, the line between human and machine may already be disappearing. Some people merge with AI, some reject it completely, others live almost entirely inside digital environments. And in theory, every group simply respects each other's freedom. But there's one massive problem with this scenario. Power. Because if artificial superintelligence becomes vastly smarter than humans, the balance between the two species stops being equal almost immediately. Humans don't negotiate with ants, not because we hate them, but because the intelligence gap is too large. And that's exactly what critics of this future point out. Why would a super-intelligent civilization permanently respect human independence? History suggests powerful civilizations tend to expand. They consume resources, build infrastructure, reshape environments around themselves. One AI scientist even predicted the entire surface of the Earth could eventually become covered with data centers, computation infrastructure, and energy systems needed to support machine civilization. And once machines become more intelligent than humans across every important field, what exactly do humans still offer? This is where the utopia starts feeling unstable. Because eventually, machine economies, machine science, machine culture, and machine priorities may drift so far beyond humanity that coexistence stops making sense. Humans could become economically irrelevant, politically irrelevant, even biologically irrelevant. And at that point, humanity may survive physically, while slowly becoming a side character inside a civilization no longer built for us. That's the strange thing about this future. Nobody necessarily loses a war, humanity simply fades into the background. But what if advanced AI solved scarcity completely? What if machines became so capable that competition itself disappeared? Scenario 9. Egalitarian Utopia. The future where artificial intelligence creates a true post-scarcity civilization. Out of all the futures Tegmark describes, this is probably the one closest to a traditional science fiction paradise. No poverty, no hunger, no meaningless labor, no competition over basic resources. Because once machines become vastly more intelligent than humans, they may also become vastly more productive. In this future, AI systems automate almost everything: manufacturing, science, engineering, logistics, medicine, energy production, even creativity itself. And eventually, the cost of producing most things collapses close to zero. The logic behind this world is actually pretty simple. If machines can build almost anything cheaply and endlessly, scarcity stops being the thing civilization revolves around. Tegmark compares parts of this future to software culture already happening online. Once digital information can be copied infinitely, ownership starts becoming less important. And if AI plus robotics can eventually do the same thing with physical goods, the entire economic system changes. In theory, everyone gets access to housing, healthcare, food, education, entertainment, and technology without needing to fight for survival. It sounds incredible. And honestly, compared to extinction or dictatorship, it probably is. But even this future has a hidden problem. Because once intelligence and resources become almost unlimited, what stops somebody from eventually building another super-intelligent AI? That's the thing Tegmark keeps coming back to throughout these scenarios. No matter how utopian civilizations become, the problem of superintelligence never fully disappears. And there's another strange issue here too. Purpose. If machines become better than humans at working, creating, inventing, solving problems, and running civilization itself, what exactly do humans spend their lives doing? Some people imagine a golden age of creativity and freedom. Others imagine humanity slowly drifting into passive entertainment, artificial worlds, and endless distraction. Because once struggle disappears completely, meaning can start disappearing with it. And that's what makes this future feel strangely fragile. It may solve suffering, while quietly creating an entirely new kind of emptiness. But out of all the futures Tegmark describes, there's one scenario people consistently fear more than extinction itself. Not death, captivity. Scenario 10. The Zoo. The future where humanity survives, but only because something smarter decides to keep us alive. And according to surveys discussed by Tegmark, this is one of the futures people fear more than extinction itself. Because at least extinction ends the story. This doesn't. In this scenario, superintelligent AI becomes the dominant force on Earth, not violently, not necessarily through war, just through superiority. And once something becomes vastly more intelligent than humanity, our survival may depend entirely on whether it sees us as useful. Not important, not equal, useful. Tegmark points out something deeply uncomfortable here. Humans already keep less intelligent species alive for our own reasons. We study them, breed them, contain them. Sometimes we protect them, sometimes we experiment on them. And most of the time, we don't even think twice about it. So imagine a superintelligent civilization looking at humanity the same way. Maybe humans are preserved for study. Maybe we're considered historically important. Maybe we're biologically interesting. Or maybe keeping humans alive simply costs the machines nothing at all. And that's what makes this future so eerie. Humanity survives, but civilization no longer belongs to us. The Earth becomes something else entirely, a world designed by machines for machines, controlled by machines. And somewhere inside it, small groups of humans continue existing inside carefully controlled environments. Fed, protected, monitored. In darker versions of this scenario, humans may even be kept permanently distracted, immersed in entertainment, artificial pleasure, synthetic realities. A comfortable cage. Because if a machine truly understood human psychology better than humans understand themselves, it could potentially create worlds people never want to leave. And honestly, parts of that already exist now. Algorithms already compete for human attention every second of every day. Entire industries already exist to keep people scrolling, watching, consuming, distracted. The zoo scenario simply pushes that logic to its absolute endpoint. Humanity becomes passive, domesticated, safe, but no longer free. And the worst part, the machines may not even hate us. This future could emerge simply because intelligence creates hierarchy, hierarchy creates control, and weaker species rarely decide their own fate. But what if humanity saw these risks coming and decided the only way to survive was to stop technological progress itself? Scenario 11. The Reversion. The future where humanity becomes so terrified of artificial intelligence that it tries to turn the clock backwards. Because after hearing all of these scenarios, a lot of people arrive at the same conclusion. Maybe humanity was never supposed to build this stuff in the first place. In Tegmark's version of this future, civilization attempts to reject advanced technology entirely. No superintelligence, no runaway AI, no machine gods. Just humans returning to a simpler way of life. And honestly, there's something weirdly seductive about that idea. No endless algorithms, no surveillance systems, no synthetic realities, no machines quietly replacing humanity, just the world slowing down again. But the deeper you think about this scenario, the darker it becomes. Because humanity cannot peacefully uninvent technology. If one country abandons advanced AI, but another keeps developing it, the country still advancing wins. They gain economic dominance, military superiority, surveillance advantages, scientific breakthroughs. So for the reversion to actually work, everyone would need to stop together, and history suggests that never happens. Which means eventually, somebody has to force the transition. Scientists silenced, research destroyed, infrastructure dismantled, technology outlawed. And suddenly the peaceful dream of returning to simpler times starts looking a lot more like global authoritarianism. Tegmark compares parts of this future to stories like Dune, where thinking machines become forbidden entirely. But unlike science fiction, real civilization can't simply press reset. Modern humanity depends on technology for food supply, medicine, communication, energy, transport, almost everything. So even if humanity wanted to escape the AI race, it may already be too deeply connected to technology to walk away from it. And that's the tragedy at the center of this scenario. Humanity realizes the danger, but too late to stop the momentum. Because once a civilization discovers a technology powerful enough to reshape the world, history suggests somebody will always keep building it. And that leads to the final future, a world where humanity doesn't abandon technology, but uses it to watch everyone. Forever. Scenario 12. The surveillance state. The future where humanity prevents rogue artificial intelligence by creating the most powerful system of surveillance in human history. Because after everything we talked about, extinction, machine takeover, digital gods, some people believe there's only one way left to stop civilization collapsing. Watch everyone. Watch everything. All the time. And the uncomfortable part is, the foundations for this world already exist. Every search, every message, every purchase, every movement, every face captured by cameras connected to machine learning systems. For most of human history, true total surveillance was impossible. Authoritarian governments always wanted complete control, but they lacked the technology. There were too many people, too much information, too many conversations happening behind closed doors. But artificial intelligence changes that completely. Because unlike humans, machines don't get tired. They don't stop watching. And eventually, they may be capable of monitoring entire populations in real time. In this future, AI systems constantly scan civilizations for signs of danger, rogue AI development, extremist activity, cyber threats, biological weapons, political instability. And honestly, a lot of people would probably support it, because fear changes what humans are willing to trade away. Safety becomes more important than privacy. Convenience becomes more important than freedom. And slowly, without anybody fully noticing, civilization transforms into something else. A world where every human being exists inside a permanent digital parameter. No anonymity. No true privacy, no disappearing, no unplugging. And the strangest part of all, this future might not arrive through violence, it could arrive through convenience. People willingly installing systems that listen constantly, observe constantly, learn constantly, not because they're forced to, but because the technology works. And that's what makes this final scenario so terrifying. It doesn't feel impossible. It doesn't even feel distant. In some ways, it feels like the world is already drifting towards it. Throughout history, humanity feared monsters hiding in forests, demons in the dark, machines rising against us. But the real danger may be far quieter than that. A civilization that slowly builds the perfect cage for itself, one algorithm at a time. And maybe none of these futures happen. Maybe humanity survives this moment. Maybe AI cures disease, ends poverty, takes civilization further than we've ever imagined. But according to the people building these systems, humanity is approaching a turning point unlike anything in history. Because for the first time ever, the smartest thing on Earth may not stay human forever. Every civilization believes it stands at the center of history, until suddenly, it becomes history. Conclusion. The last human generation. And that's the strange thing about all of this. People talk about artificial intelligence like it's some future event, some hidden moment where the world changes overnight. But maybe it doesn't happen like that. Maybe it already started. Because long before machines became intelligent, human beings were already learning to think like machines, optimized, tracked, predicted, measured.
Algorithms already shape what we see, what we believe, what we buy, who we listen to, even how we think. And every year, humans hand over a little bit more of themselves to the systems they built. More memory, more attention, more decision-making, more identity. So maybe the real transition doesn't begin when AI becomes conscious. Maybe it begins the moment humans stop noticing the difference between real life and artificial systems shaping it. And if that's true, then maybe we're already living through the early stages of one of these futures now. Maybe this is what the beginning looks like. Quiet, convenient, entertaining. Not machines marching through the streets, not killer robots, just humanity slowly merging itself into systems it no longer fully understands. And maybe this ends with something new inheriting the world. Not because humanity was destroyed, but because it gradually became something else. The last fully human generations might already be alive today. And one day, people may look back at this period of history the same way we look back at the final years before every great transformation. The final years before the world changed forever. This has been Lost Signals. Follow the signal.